Hello everyone, this is Jerome Wright here again on my Jeronification channel. And in this video I'm going to be decoding more drawings of Da Vinci, specifically certain drawings where he has his label on it, study of this and study of that, or he has a lot of images with horses and animals and everything else. And I mean, and just his drawings are just as bizarre as anything you can possibly ever imagine. I mean, and you probably would wonder, where in the world is this man's mind at with some of the things that he's doing there? And I mean, in some cases, I guess you can say that, well, maybe he's comparing these animals, like here, this horse here, to that of man and the features or so forth and so on. But it's just not the case there. Um, Through my paranormal experience and encounter, which led me to actually decode the artwork of Da Vinci, which many people have been trying to do for long periods of time here and just hasn't been able to do. Um, Through my paranormal experience and encounter, I have been able to decode Da Vinci's work because it is directly linked to a knowledge, a celestial knowledge that evolved into our world from space. And there are a certain select few of people that have this knowledge of how mankind came into existence genetically, was created. There was a specific plan, I mean, no way the other way to describe it, a specific diagram of how mankind was created, how he was genetically bridged, and the process of genetic manipulation, and how it's actually continuing today. And these artists, specifically Renaissance artists, are referencing it in their artworks, and it's actually showing how it's been done. And there are encryptions in this painting all throughout, this painting, and it lets you show you the specific diagram, and it's the trail, the passage of how these manipulations took place. In this case here, this is Da Vinci's, I believe it's the name of it is study of a horse with two riders. I mean, come on now. There's the horse there. What in the world would this have to do with study of a horse with two riders? Unless you actually, the title in itself is bizarre, besides the image. Now, if you take it in the sense that I'm explaining it to you of what is happening, that these are genetic blueprints on how man was genetically manipulated, with that of animals, creatures such as horses and other animals that these artists reference in their work, then it all suddenly makes sense, people, because if there is a study of a horse with two riders, then it makes sense if you have two genetic riders. This horse has been genetically bridged. Then all of a sudden it makes sense, because other than that, there is no horse here with two riders on its back. There is naked individuals and then the horse is shown. So, I mean, how there being this horse being rode? And people, this is what this reference is. It is genetic. It represents genetic. It's a representation of genetics. And this is what Da Vinci is actually telling us here. And I'm gonna take you through some of my highlights. I'm gonna do a couple. And these images are all authenticated. Okay? Even in his writings here, if you look in the shadows, okay, if you look in the shadows, his writings, his word, everything creates that. Look, here's the snout, here's the eye, there's the snout of a horse, there's the mouth of, it creates the face of a horse right here where I'm circling right there. Then you see other faces here. And even in his writings, it's almost like, it reminds me of a water line that you would find on a check today that you would actually try to cash, or on a document, a water line to authenticate it. And that's what it seems like Da Vinci had actually done this back then in the 15th century, when this painting or drawing was actually created. Let's begin over here. You have the horse here. You have this guy on the horse. Okay. first of all, look in the anatomy of that guy right there. Let me see if I'm looking at this upside down, people, so bear with me. Look at the anatomy. In the anatomy of the body, first of all, there's my witch-like woman. I dub her as the mother of creation. There's her mouth, there's her chin, there's her nose, and there's her eye in the armpit area of this guy. It shows you, I know by seeing her, which genetics are being referenced and being transferred here. Then out of her chin, you will see a snaky-like object shown going injected into the horse's neck right there, letting you know that these genetics were actually created. Okay, now, and then it shows you the passage of these genetics after the combination of them. They're sent here. This guy here shows you what the genetic likeness of these mutations created. Okay, now there's others there, and I'm not going to go into detail. I'm just trying to give you a basic idea. But if you look at this woman here, you begin to see faces. There's one facing off this way, that way. There are multi-dimensional images right here in the back of the man. And there are multi-dimensional images to let you know the likenesses of these mutations that were created from this genetic manipulation. Okay, now I'm going to take, even here, you'll see in here, in the reddened area here, I mean, you see these little images now that I'm actually pointing this out. So what is Davinci saying here? He's even showing you in this diagram that in this area, these points, these areas of points, that these are the defining features of what occurred during that genetic manipulation process. And this here is a strong indicator of the presence of that gene that actually came from that genetic manipulation so long ago. And these are the defining characteristics of what you would actually see. So the next time you look at an individual with a face similar to this guy's right here, it lets you know that Davinci is telling us that this guy got his likeness and his looks and his defining features in his face from something ancient that occurred with a genetic manipulation and bridging with an animal. And this is what he's saying here. That's why you have all of these areas squared off. He's telling you. Now, what's going on here? I'm gonna go through this. I'm not gonna explain in full detail because I'm not a scientist, so I'm gonna let the scientists do that as well for me. Okay, but I want to share because I want to move on to my next image as well. Now you have this guy here. First of all, he has his penis out. Davinci gave him a penis. That's right. If you Google the image, you'll see his penis there. Now that I show it to you, he's leaning back into what was created through this mutation. He's leaning back into this man's chest with his arm. His arm, look at his arm, people, going backwards into this man's chest. Davinci's cleverly showed it. So now, these genetics, it says a horse with two riders. It's showing you that there was two branches of these genetics created. So check this out. Look at his arm. Now imagine his arm stretched into this match as the legs of a person. There's the buttocks. Now that person is reaching out of this man's chest. Here's that person's torso right here. Outstretched arm going into this person's chest. Look at what we're doing here, people. This man's arm, this guy's arm right here, reaching into this man's chest. There's a body shown pulled out. There's a new man being pulled out. And look at this, people. There's a man being pulled, a person being pulled out, showing you. There's the butt. There's the stomach. There's the upper torso. This is the head, defining head area here. And its right arm is sticking out into this man's chest here, showing you that these genes from this cocktail, from this cult-like chemistry of creation being stretched out through this creation and then pulled out to this creation. Now what do this mean? You know what this means, people? The reason why this character is dark in the sense, in the way that he is because it represents, it says, a horse with two riders. You know what those two riders are, people? This guy here represents the same color that he's colored in. He represents that of our African man, the black man, the ape, our original ancestor. and this is why he's tinted and shaded in the color that he is. This represents our the African counterpart, the Caucasian. Shows you the creations of how these manipulations actually took place. So this genetic manipulation down here tells me that it occurred with this creature and a black man and a Caucasian man, which is white man. And that's what this is all about. Now, look at this. It shows you how from black, that chemistry, genetically altered, which, if you recall, black genes are dominating genes. All of this is, people, is about the breakdown of that domination of those genes to where other likenesses are pulled out to the fact that where you have this as being the dominating gene over top of this. Look at this body in this man's arm, shown pulled out, shown white man being pulled out of black man, right here. And then the gene that is actually shown created is in this person's abdomen, right here. And this is the witch-like woman called the mother of creation. There's her chin, there's her mouth, there's her nose, there's an eye there, that's her left eye, there's her right eye. And if you Google the image, now you will be able to see these defining features that I've just showed you. Now it's showing you that she evolved from here through this cocktail of this genetic bridging with this horse. Shows you that she evolves from a state all the way over here, her likeness, and there's multiple likenesses of her over here too, people, through this process, and now she is in the body of this person, okay, reproductive system, and showing you that every time this penis squirts its reproductive juices, its semen, she is now shot into and created through a process that began over here. Now, and that's just explaining it in layman's terms. Here is Davinci's study of the heads of 5 men, I believe that this is. And I believe this is also another 15th century painting. Let's begin. Where do we begin at here? First of all, there's genetics shown. Anywhere you see Da Vinci with these unusual paintings, there's genetics shown. First of all, let's go here with the man with his mouth hung wide open here. Look inside of his mouth. There's morphine faces in the darkened area. These represents that, again, of black genes. Okay? There's a demonic figure in there. There's a face there looking at you. You can actually see, maybe if I can pull that in closer, you might be able to see a little bit better. I highlighted them some, but there's morphine faces in this guy's mouth. You can go there. Then, you look over here, peeking from up underneath this guy's head wrap. You see the witch-like woman, the mother of creation. Her eye, this would be her left eye, there's her nose. Her open mouth actually envelops the ear of this guy. It's actually all created. Her open mouth is the open area of this guy's ear. Her face is created, and it's shown that she's sticking out her right eye would actually be covered up underneath his stocking cap. Shows you like she's almost like a pirate there looking out behind his ear. And this is the same look that he's giving across there is the same look that she's giving, letting me know which genes are being talked about and represented here, because I know what her genes are and what she genetically represents. So based on her presence, just like in the image I just now showed you, how it shows her moving from this side over here, where I highlighted her in the abdomen of this rider right here, and moving across. The same thing is being suggested here, showing you how her genes worked across. And lo and behold, what you have is, you will see her likenesses. If you look closely here, this is not even constituted as a face, but there's a chin. Her mouth is created by other likenesses that are in the flowery wreath that is around this person's head, and it shows you her genes. Even here, you can see, I can see one here, chin, mouth, nose, eye. It shows you her likeness evolving from here to that and being transferred. And even in here, people, there are faces. There's a monkey. If you look right here, up underneath this screaming guy's chin, up in the air, this is how you know that these represent black genetics. If you look here, look at this lizard-like creature. I'm going to circle his head. And well, actually, here's his mouth. This will be his open mouth. There's his chin, nostril, eye, top of the head. This represents the monkey, black man. You see that? Right there, the face of the monkey. And now check this out. The witch-like woman, the monkey's mouth open. There's a, let me make a nostril without that right quick. Let me see if I can get that monkey's face going there right quick. It's probably turning around. Look, I'm gonna try to get it from this side. This is a would be the what eye? There's an eye. There's an eye. That's the left eye. I just did the right eye right over here. Well, I went too far over. Well, you see what I'm trying to do here, right, people? I'm doing this upside down. I did it again. Well, where are the two marks at? You can see the shadow of the image anyway, and it creates the face of the monkey up in there. Check this out. Up in there, I went over too far. That would be an eye. That would be an eye. It creates the impression. See that? See what I'm talking about now, people? And coming up over top of here would be over top of the monkey's mouth. Here, there's an eye, and there you go. Creates the black genetics of a black man. And then, now, if you look at it, there's a chin right here. And here it shows the mother of creation, and her face, this is a line on the cheekbone, her face and nose and all that stuff. This is all at her mouth right here. And the ape's mouth right there creates her eye socket. And there's an eye up in there. You see that where I just did that at, people? So here we have a representation of a symbol that is in everything that represents that of mankind, the originating genetics of mankind. You have a witch-like woman, which you've seen evolving from over here. There's a likeness of her right there. I could actually, there's an eye, there's a nose, there's a mouth, there's her chin, showing you evolving into the likeness of this being here. That's her likeness there. Then it shows you how these genetics are going through, how they're being passed along. There's a man with his mouth open. And it shows her right here, her chin, the ape, and it shows these mutations here that are verifiable, letting you know that these genes are passed along. Then we get here, people, and this guy's hair, a reef head that looks like something Roman, and it lets us know that these genes are being snaked around this individual's body, like that of almost, it reminds me of like the Medusa with a bunch of snakes in her head, because the mother of creation image is shown from its largest state to its smallest state, all along this reef, along this guy's head, going in each and every direction. And here's the largest one here. That's an eye, there's a nose, there's a top lip, there's a mouth, there's a chin. And then, people, when I tell you that this image can be realized, you can see about 3 or 4 of her images just in this one image right there alone, besides the little ones that I have highlighted. And if you notice that they're shown going into both directions, this will be the open mouth of her likeness here, and it's showing you that one of the chins from this image in the mouth, indicating a transference of genes going back and forward. And people, when I tell you that this thing gets far more deeper than this, it really does. I'm going to try to bring that in some for you to actually see. And this is all in this guy's ear. Look at this. Just as it is over here on this guy's ear. These encryption styles that Davinci utilized shows how these genetics were transferred and ultimately shown going over towards, where we at here, over here. And that's why these images look as bizarre as they do. Now, here, look. Here she is here. Now remember how I gave her, look at her right here. You look, imagine like a gypsy like woman. Right there. Look, I'm at the forehead. Look at the eye socket over top of the eyebrow. Look at the darkened area. This will be the eye right here. And look at the nose attached into this face. And look, there's the mouth. And look at the chin right here. There's the chin. And it creates the face. Look, this face morphing in right here to that face, to this face. Look at the same thing happening here from the reef. Showing you the genetics going this way. Through this reef in this guy's head, the likeness of her, and then look, the same thing happening. I'm at the chin. Here's the bottom lip. There's the lip line. There's the top of the lip, the nose, and then there are little images shown going into this likeness, showing a transformation from this likeness through to that likeness, through to there, and the change, and then the genetics are going over to here. People, this is truly amazing. Now, if that doesn't beat on, these images can be seen going both ways. Like you see a face here, a mouth, a nose, eye. These faces and these multidimensional images are going both ways because it's showing you not only these genetics going, but it shows them coming back. And what this actually represents, nothing more than a bloodline or a bloodline or a vein of genetics. It's like being injected with like 5 or 6 different other person's genetics, and they're taking off in the body, and that's what these paintings represent. It represents a picture of what these transferences actually look like in real time, rather than showing just a grail of blood or a diagram of these genetics going. They use the pictures to show the faces, as opposed to showing bloodlines on like on a grid or something that you can actually read that is on paper. And this is how Renaissance artists actually did it. Okay, now here's another image of Da Vinci's. And this one is even more bizarre yet. What was the name of this? Oh, this is the horse for the Battle of Armageddon, or not Armadi, I believe it is, or something like that. There, a study of a horse for Battle of Armadi. Now, what in the hell would Da Vinci be actually making a study of a horse for Battle of Anagani, or whatever that means, whatever, you guys probably know that better than I do. Anagani, or whatever it is. I actually have to look that up because it's probably a historical moment that you'll see a lot of these references. I think I'll Google that after the fact. But people, Da Vinci, look at this. Look at this here. This is absolutely amazing here. I'm going to take the other ones down. This is absolutely amazing here. Look at this. This is battle battle of a horse preparing for Anagani or something. Let me spell that out for you so you can actually Anghini, Anagani, or whatever that is. Okay, but I mean, what in the hell would he be showing a horse up for? Unless, people, it is actually referencing everything that I told you that it is. All referencing genetics and how mankind was genetically bridged. And lo and behold, here you have this bizarre looking horse. Look, a cat-like creature, and then the image of a man, and all these images look like this guy. Look at this. This man is looking like part lion or a cat and part this horse. So what is all of this got to do with a horse preparing for Battle of Anagani? Unless Anagani is representing an historical moment in time of genetic bridging and manipulation and the altering of genes of mankind, which I have actually found that to be the case. Now, how did this horse become looking like this? Genetically. How did that horse become looking like that? Take a wild guess. What did that horse look like? It looks like a wild pig or a wild boar, right? That's because that was genetically bridged exactly with that. And if we back up, if you Google this image, up here you will see the snout and the eye. This is the snout of that boar that actually was genetically bridged with that of a horse, that caused this creature to take on its likeness of this creature up here, which actually dominated in genes, because it actually showed you genetically, because it shows you that once they were cross-referenced, this creature, the horse, took the likeness of that creature. And this is the end results. And then this creature cross-referenced with these creatures, and that was the end result. This creature with these dominating genes, capable of transforming this horse into this mutant of a wild boar hog, broken down, in other words, too strong to go directly to this creature, the cat, and this creature, the human, broken down through the horse, and then as it in its weakened state, sent to the cat, and introduced to the cat's genes, and introduced to the genes of mankind, and then these mutations were created. And Da Vinci has that recorded in his drawings. So people, why would Da Vinci have that recorded in his drawings if it did not occur? Why would Da Vinci go through such lengths to make such recordings in his drawings? You know why? Because people, just as I found it to be the case, this is what was happening throughout the history of mankind. These genetic bridgings between man and animals and man, and it is something that's been done throughout our entire evolution. And this is why you have those gaps in everything that is in our history, and these missing civilizations of people, and lost worlds, and all of these megalithic monuments and everything else built, and don't nobody know how they got there and all that. You know why? Because it's a bunch of BS. There was ancient civilizations of people, our ancestors, that were known because there was these manipulations going on. Their faces are hidden. You can see their faces here, right? Well, here, and then alongside, there's a white face, there's a black face, right there, alongside of a white face. Then they're shown how these faces mutated, and I know which genes actually cause for this, because the faces are hidden, like there, chin, nose, eye, forehead. And I know where these genes evolved from, and I know what caused for the existences, which actually led up to the existence of mankind. And thanks to those like Leonardo da Vinci and many others, because even in cave art, it is stating the same exact thing. The Peruvian stones, burial stones, have it recorded. All of the petroglyphs and stones on Angkor Wat tells us how there was a genetic manipulation there, how that was a genetic manipulation location. Angkor Wat, ancient Egypt, here in North and South America with the Mayans, they have recorded it, how these genetic manipulations took place. And everywhere you go, you will see her face and her likeness everywhere, because she and the ape, all the hallmarks for actually being shown, depicted in underlying encryptions of this stuff. In this case here, this man at this point is representing that of the ape, because we all know that we all evolved from the ape. So wherever you see that witch-like woman, the mother of creation, in Christianity, she's the Madonna-like character, and throughout other cultures and religions, I'm sure she appears as something else, but that witch-like woman appears in everything, and not just once, but in multi-dimensional stages. Her faces appear, because you know why? Because she is the causing genetics for all of that of which has been created, and I know what her likeness stands for, and I know what she is. So therefore, Da Vinci, secret knowledge, and his secret encryptions behind all of his designs and all of his works can be read. And I can show you how they can be read. My name is Gerone Wright. You're watching my Geronification channel. And I'm telling you that I have decoded the art of Leonardo da Vinci. I have other videos out here. This is going to be my 108th video. Okay? And there's an understanding behind all of this. And there are mutations and ancestors that have been excluded from our history. And it's my position that there are a select few that know of some of these mutations and some of these bridgings. I don't think that nobody completely understands it all the way I actually would do, because my understanding of this came from through space, which these images appear, believe it or not. What I'm showing you here appears in space. And that's yet to be seen, but I do have some videos on some of that stuff. If you actually go and look at my videos, you will see what I'm talking about. And just as these picture perfect images, I'm not an artist too, by the way, people, but I can sit there and draw you these similar images in cloud matter in space, and I'm not even an artist. You know why? Because our ancestors that evolved from space, we were created from space, actually knew all of this stuff. And when they landed our world in their microorganism state, they knew exactly what it was, what their assignment was, and in so much as far as creating life and where it had to evolve to and what state it was be going to. It's my position that life forms evolved off of Venus. And when Venus got too when Mercury and Venus got too close to the sun, they evolved to each other's planet and combined. Now those combined genetics are on our planet, which is Earth. So we have mutations from Venus and Mars that combined, that evolved off each one of their own planets as a single, and then united as a whole, and now are on Earth. And now mutations of Mars, Venus, and Earth are combined, and now we are out contaminating the moon and Mars. Did I say Mars in the first? I meant to say Mercury. Venus and Mercury, not Mars. Venus and Mercury mutations are on our planet, and now all three in combination, which is Venus, Mercury, and Earth, are now going out contaminating the moon and Mars, which I'm telling you that Mars is the next planet in line to hold the celestial life forms of the existence of our kind. And it's my position that that is what NASA is actually doing now on these missions to Mars, and planting seeds, which are life forms that have generated from all three of those planets. Just like I believe that it's my position that these frozen masses are eggs. We are eggs. Our planets are eggs. And they're frozen masses at first, but until they come through a certain stage with the sun, an evolutionary stage with the sun, and they become then water worlds. It's my position that as soon as our world is drying out, and that's why you see everything melting, the climate change, and this is what the cause of extinction is. We go through that higher stage at the top of this pyramid is where you have the larger life forms, and as evolution continues on, these life forms get smaller and smaller and smaller until they disintegrate off the face of the earth due to the additional radiation of the sun, which is actually burning away through our atmospheric layers. And what's happening is that, we are being destroyed. What do you do in the matter of when you're being destroyed? You find ways to leave from that world to go to the next. And these are the cases with those two dead planets that are before our sun right now, with ours being next in line. And we are looking to Mars for future and living. So therefore, people, come on now. Common sense is with us. We cannot sit back and be fooled any longer. These artists, look at this. This is Da Vinci from a 14th century to 15th century. What in the world is Da Vinci doing knowing about this? These mutations. Has a hog up here, and then showing you that this hog was genetically bridged with this horse, and these mutations called for these different likenesses. And then when that hog's genes were broken down in this horse to a certain stage, then it was introduced to that of cat and to that of mankind, and it's showing you what their faces look like. These mutations. Look, 1, 2, 3, showing you these different mutations, and then showing you the cause behind it all. There. Look at these creatures' faces in the anatomy of the bodies. You can see their faces in the anatomy, representing the passage of these genes from these genetic bridgings. My name is Gerone Wright. You're watching my Geronification channel. I'm also on Alien UFOs. There's going to be change, people. It's going to happen. Until my next video, goodbye. Appreciate you for. I believe it's the name of it is study of a horse with 2 riders. I mean, come on now. There's the horse there. What in the world would this have to do with study of a horse with 2 riders? Unless you actually, the title in itself is bizarre, besides the image. Now, if you take it in the sense that I'm explaining it to you of what is happening, that these are genetic blueprints on how man was genetically manipulated with that of animals, creatures such as horses and other animals that these artists reference in their work, then it all suddenly makes sense, people, because if there is a study of a horse with 2 riders, then it makes sense if you have 2 genetic riders. This horse has been genetically bridged. Then all of a sudden it makes sense, because other than that, there is no horse here with 2 riders on its back. There is naked individuals. And then the horse is shown. So, I mean, how there being this horse being rode? And people, this is what this reference is. It is genetic. It represents genetic. It's a representation of genetics, and this is what Da Vinci is actually telling us here. And I'm gonna take you through some of my highlights. I'm gonna do a couple, and these images are all authenticated. Okay, even in his writings here, if you look in the shadows, okay, if you look in the shadows, his writings, his word, everything created here. This horse here, to that of man, and the features, or so forth and so on. But it's just not the case there. Through my paranormal experience and encounter, which led me to actually decode the artwork of Da Vinci, which many people have been trying to do for long periods of time here, and just hasn't been able to do. Through my paranormal experience and encounter, I have been able to decode Da Vinci's work because it is directly linked to a knowledge, a celestial knowledge that evolved into our world from space. And there are a certain select few of people that have this knowledge of how mankind came into existence genetically, was created. There was a specific plan, no way the other way to describe it, a specific diagram of how mankind was created, how he was genetically bridged, and the process of genetic manipulation, and how it's actually continuing today. And these artists, specifically Renaissance artists, are referencing it in their artworks, and it's actually showing how it's been done. And there are encryptions in this painting all throughout this painting, and it lets you show you the specific diagram, and it's the trail, the passage of how these manipulations took place. In this case here, this is Da Vinci. Hello everyone, this is Gerone Wright here again on my Geronification channel, and in this video I'm going to be decoding more drawings of Da Vinci specifically certain drawings where he has his label on it, study of this and study of that, or like he has a lot of images with horses and animals and everything else. And I mean, and just his drawings are just as bizarre as anything you can possibly ever imagine. I mean, and you probably would wonder, where in the world is this man's mind at with some of the things that he's doing there? And I mean, in some cases, I guess you can say that, well, maybe he's comparing these animals like